In this series of videos we're going to try to repeat what we did with the PHP and the Python, but we're going to now start looking at devices such as Android and iOS, and I'm going to start off with the Android section. This gives me some difficulties. As you'll probably notice, the screen is completely different. So what's happened is I've had to go to my Mac because I was using a virtual machine, and the Android device, the emulator, won't work on a virtual machine. So what I'm expecting you to have done to this point is, number one, you've got XAMPP up and running, you've followed the videos, or you've had a look at the videos, you've tried them out, you've understood a little bit about the PHP and how to access the files through localhost. I've got XAMPP up and running. It's a little bit different to your version. Unless you're on a Mac, then it will be identical. But you also should have downloaded Android Studio and got that running for this. Now you will need quite a powerful machine for that. Otherwise it's going to go very, very slowly, and you're not going to get to the end of your projects. It's going to crash a lot. So a powerful machine is required for this, Windows 10 onwards, or just a Mac. If you've got a device, you can actually plug your device in. If you're on Windows, you'll need to have the drivers for your device, which is not always available. So for example, if you've got a Huddle, for example, from Tesco's, they don't tend to ship out with devices, with device drivers, sorry, and you might find it very difficult to actually get your device working. The emulator will still work, that will be fine, but you might not be able to show your programming on an actual device. Generally, if you've got an Android phone, it will come with a device driver, so you should be able to load that onto your system and get it working. Also, you've got to change your device, so you've got to put it in developer mode. Again, there's plenty of information on the internet to do it. So in your settings, you're going to have to go to some sort of development mode, and there is a special set of key presses where you've got to press a key 7 times to get into developer mode. If you don't do that, then you won't be able to transfer your files to your device. Anyway, we could talk forever on how to set things up, but for this you should have Android Studio working, and I'm really expecting you to have maybe got your device up and running and that you've tried 1 or 2 of the tutorials. If you haven't, I suggest you do. I am not giving any Android tutorials at all. I'm just going to give my version of what we did in Python, and I'm expecting you to have seen 1 or 2 things beforehand. Also, I have to sort of change 1 or 2 things with the PHP. I'm going to show you that now. To begin with, the Android programming is far harder than the Python programming, and I want to take you through it step by step. And at the moment, what we've got is sort of get person, and we've got add person and post person, which takes values that you put in, some input values, and sends them to the database. I don't want to be taking values to begin with. I just want to do a very straightforward SQL which just pulls all the results from the database, so that I'm not confusing the Android programming by capturing information and then trying to send it. I'm just going to pull all the information from the database and then display it. So I'm going to actually change some of these files so that it works, and the first one I'm going to do is get person. Now obviously I'm not in Notepad++, doesn't exist with a Mac, but then again I'm only using a text editor, so things should be the same for you. So I'm going to choose get person. I'm going to edit my get person file. I'm going to open it with text edit, and then I'm going to file and duplicate it. It's the only way I can do this. It's much easier on a Windows PC, and I'm going to rename this file get data. So I'm just getting all the data. I'm not really interested in sending or retrieving particular pieces of information. So hopefully that will have done the job. just checked it, just saw it come up. There we are. So I close down my get person now. So I'm going to edit this file, and basically I'm just going to take out all of this. If it's set, I'm just going to open the server and perform a very simple query. So let's get rid of that line and sort of unindent all of these lines. So I need my server still, I need my username and password. I don't need this line because I'm not actually getting anything from the database, or I'm not sending anything to the database to get. I need my query still, but this time instead of asking for particular information, I'm just going to do a select all from person. There we go, very simple query, which is going to pull everything back. Then I still need my connection, still need all of this information, how to connect to the database, and die if there's nothing there. And we will still need the result. We still need what happens if it's empty. Whoops. And we probably will still need some of this information. Let's just check through. Okay, so what's going to happen here is if we've got results returned, which we will have, set up a JSON array, put in the ID, put in the first name, put in the last name, put in the age, and then send it out to the web page. Otherwise give us a message that we haven't got any information. So that's seeming fine so far. However, let's just check. Remember, we didn't check for the is set, so we don't need this final else clause. Okay, so there's nothing to do with parameters. We got rid of that at the start, so I'm getting rid of that now. Hopefully everything's fine there. All we'd need to do is check that we've got the correct number of opening and closing braces. Now, it's not as easy to see. You'll appreciate now Notepad++ because it will highlight and tell you it's red. So let me just check. That one belongs to connection. That one belongs to the if empty. That one belongs to that. So those two match and close. That one is the end of that if. That one is opening for the else. That's the end of that else. So that's the end of that if. I think I may have one too many. So let's try that. Let's just do that, save the text file and check it. So basically, if I just call localhost get data, it should either print the results from the database on the screen. So let's get it up. Ignore all of that. So if I type localhost sandbox and get data.php, there we go. So now my data is working. I've changed that file. All it's going to do is reproduce all of this JSON data for me. I've got a file now that I can work with, basically with Android, before we get into any of the difficulty of passing parameters and sorting out all of these fields in JSON, which is going to be quite difficult. So we have a starting point.